think we're good anyway. Ain't nobody in here. Yeah, it looked fine over on YouTube. I don't know. Dude, it's literally taken like 4 minutes to compile these shaders. That's crazy.
I mean, that's not too surprising, but it probably didn't take that long on your other computer.
No.
Yeah.
Not at all. Am I like I think maybe my machine's just really that, too far behind generationally on the Intel CPU.
Maybe we should look at look at some benchmarks or something maybe to be running, and then we can at least compare those against what you should be getting, and that'll give us an idea of if you have a problem or if that's just how your machine is. So
it seems fine after it was compiling shaders, so it's happier now, but I don't know. Chat, I was even though no one's here to listen to it, I was trying to check out Ninja Gaiden and see if that was doing okay on my desktop, and it seemed grumpy. So I don't know, and then maybe it's gonna be okay. Whatever. We're gonna be playing Ninja Gaiden tomorrow. That'll be really fun.
I believe the 50 series cards maybe launch tomorrow.
Oh no shit. Okay. What's the performance difference between like a 3080 Ti and a 5080? I guess we don't know because they're not out yet, right?
Yeah, I was seeing a lot of people are saying, like, this is going back to that discussion that we were having before about how the performance gains that they're touting are largely based on generative technologies like DLSS.
Yeah,
and on paper, it looks like a 5080 is very similar to like a 4080 Ti, like almost straight across. It does better generative stuff than the 4080 Ti will, but only just. So
interesting.
Over a 3080 though, like there's pretty decent gains between the 30 and 40 series, just in terms of like more VRAM and just a slightly better architecture. So probably going to just be worth like kind of seeing how it shakes out and what the numbers actually look like tomorrow when things come out and people are really starting to use them. And then it might look like getting like a 4080 Ti at a slightly better deal might be a good option, just depending on what we're trying to do.
Bro, what is the world of more VRAM at this point? Because I think my card is 16 gigs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think
so what, are we at like 3264s now?
No, I think the 5080 start at like 20 and the 5090 might have 32 or something like that.
That's still pretty crazy.
Yep.
Can they even use all that shit yet? I mean, I guess that's the point of hardware, right? Is like they come out with stuff that can't be fully utilized, and then over time it just...
A lot of this stuff is, pretty big overkill, especially in gaming, and especially in like more traditional gaming. Once you start getting into these AI discussions, like you can absolutely push all of that VRAM with AI workflows, and I think that probably also will contribute to that whole DLSS and generative technology discussion, where even though games definitely in most cases could never need that much of VRAM, they might be able to just leverage the leftover overhead to just make sure that your game is running as good as possible, hopefully.
Yeah.
Or just, it all just goes down to like efficiency and stuff like that. They just talk about how like the power draw of the cards goes down kind of exponentially generation over generation, while also getting more powerful at the same time.
I feel like we just got the 40 series though.
I think it's been 2 years, but yeah.
Isn't that too fast?
It's every 2 years pretty much as far back as you look, like between the 10 and the 20 and the 30 and the 40 and the 50.
I feel like they're sleeping on technology, and they've got like functional 80 series cards or like 90 series cards or some shit like that.
I mean, NVIDIA is definitely diversifying a lot into a lot of enterprise level stuff and more workflow oriented things. They have all those, I can't even remember what the cards are called now, but
the workstation cards.
Yeah, I mean, they have like the Hydra cards. Those are the workstation cards, but now they have new ones that are specifically just for running AI workflows on. They're called, oh man, what is it?
Bitcoin farm machines.
Yeah, right. Gotta get one in Tarkov next time.
I know, right?
Like a Jetson, I think is what they're called now.
Jetson. Okay.
Yep. They also make these things. It's basically like a Raspberry Pi, but it's made by NVIDIA, and it has a chip on it that does AI stuff. And so you get this little like $250 microcomputer thing that can't do too much else, but can run AI super well. And so I think we'll start seeing those integrated into a lot of things.
Huh.
Yeah.
Very interesting. I don't know what it all means. I feel like the hardware is just going faster than it probably should in the, for the sake of just selling us a new thing. Almost Apple-y, right? Like, buy new phone because you need new phone. And it's like, well, I don't really need new phone. It's not that much different. I'm being too reductive though.
Of this series is that people just keep saying they're like, it looks like you guys just took the 40 series and like put like an AI assist chip on it or something like that.
Okay, good.
And
that's what I was thinking,
Yeah, and on paper that's pretty much what it is for sure. So
and 40 series was like an architectural change from the 30 series, right?
Each series is an architecture change over the last one. I think there's a bigger jump when you went from the 10 to the 20 because I went from GTX to RTX, and that I don't think that's technically even an architecture change. I think they just wanted to like show that it could do ray tracing better than it could have in the past, and that's when G-Sync started to come out and stuff like that. Yeah, you don't see all of those like new gains and technologies anymore. They just took the 40 series and made it 30% better at doing AI stuff. It is kind of the way it breaks down, it looks like.
So last big generational change was the 20 series. Yeah.
Kind of. Yeah, they're definitely touting this new one as kind of that same type of thing with all this new AI stuff that it can do, but I don't know, it doesn't seem as impactful in the grand scheme of things for sure. So
I got you. I'm tracking.
Yeah. That being said, if you're sitting on a 30 series like we are and you need to upgrade, you could go to a 40 series, or you might be, 2 years more future proof if you can go to a 50 series or something. It's really hard to say because the AI stuff just moves so fast right now.
Yeah, and the 60 series could be like capable of many, many more things. Who fucking
knows? Or they might come out with some crazy new AI thing in 2 months that like doesn't benefit from this new thing that is on the 50 series, so it's a waste or something. That's probably not the case because NVIDIA makes the GPUs that all the AI researchers use, but yeah, just I don't know. That's my big hesitation with a lot of AI related things right now, is just that if you get too dug into one, a new thing probably came out in like the 3 hours since you started looking at it.
Yeah, that's true. Sweet. Let's talk about some game news. There's not a whole hell of a lot as I'm looking at it, unfortunately. Good news for PC gamers playing stuff like Helldivers. The requirement's gone for a PSN account. They're trying to incentivize it in a different way now, where if you do link your PSN account, you get in-game stuff. It's somewhat ambiguous, but that's what they're trying to say.
Okay.
Let's see if I got any more details on that business. Yeah, it looks like for like the first parties or whatever. So like God of War Ragnarok, Horizon Zero Dawn Remastered, Last of Us 2 Remastered. You'll get in-game unlocks if you link your PSN. I wonder what that means for a PSN player who isn't on PC. Do they just automatically get the thing? So is this something being withheld from PC players? Or is this something PC players only would get because now they're giving their data to Sony? I guess we don't know yet, right?
I mean, in theory, maybe you could play Helldivers on a PlayStation that wasn't connected to the internet, and then you wouldn't have done that. But I don't know. Oh, actually, could you? I don't know if you could physically buy Helldivers or not. You might have to.
Yeah, I don't think you can.
Yeah.
I mean, you need. Well, okay. I'm trying to think of how it works because I know you can use you have to have a PSN account, and because I don't think Helldivers had a physical edition, right? So you couldn't buy a disc and then play it off a disc. I think you had to download it. So that being said, like where does that
PS5 copy?
There is no.
No, there is. Yeah,
there is.
There is. Yes.
So you could play like vanilla Helldivers with 0 updates solo.
Let's see. Part of me wonders if it's like you put the disc in and it downloads the game on your console or something, but
it does. That's literally how all that shit works now.
Yep. Let's see. I'm just seeing if this website says. Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't say. Yeah. I'd be interested to see if games like that would even work without an internet connection, because I kind of feel like they probably wouldn't.
Yep, I agree. I think that also kind of sucks. Like,
oh yeah, totally.
Always online for no reason is really weird. Like, I understand digital distribution, that makes sense. But I also understand, like, I don't know. I like cartridges. I thought it was cool to buy a game and you just have your game and you can play it whenever you want and it lasts forever. Optical media doesn't work the same way. Those like physical boards with ROMs on them and shit are gonna last forever.
Not forever, but quite a bit longer than
yeah. I mean, the silicon will still decay, but you
get bit rot.
Yeah. Like optical CDs that all the data is like written onto the the image that's on the back. So like if you scratch that at all, like it's fucked. It's completely fucked. It's not like the bottom side where the laser goes through it. That is, yeah.
And also the reader is a motorized component that wears out over time too. Yep.
Yeah, it's just that's so weird. I mean, I guess we had the same problem with magnetic tape data storage too, right? Like those are significantly more fragile. They don't last very long at all. That shit stretches out and gets all fucked up just by virtue of how it was played. The tape is stretched over a read head, and over time that will distort. And if there's any like warps in it at all, the data becomes very messed up.
Yep, and you're reading it with like a magnet basically, which is very minutely like kind of damaging or distorting it or something like that. Yep. And over time, eventually it wears out.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so that's digital rights and digital distribution. Let's see. No Man's Sky new update. Worlds Part 2 is coming. They're saying there's trillions of new planets to explore. I feel like that's too many.
Yeah. It's just more for the people who still play that game a lot, I guess. Yeah.
But I mean, you'll never see a fraction of those. You'll see less than 1%.
I mean, I still would kind of argue that most of them just aren't really worth seeing anyway, but
yeah.
It's always been the problem that they've had. They're definitely better now than they used to be, but it just, I don't know. After you've seen a few, you're just like, cool.
There's probably 10 million archetypes that are not very different anyway, that you would find in like most systems. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of like a weird claim. Like, what does that even mean, adding trillions, right? Like, let's see what...
It's probably just like the mathematical, like, combination of all the options or something,
Yeah, so the official statement is that the algorithm of the universe has evolved is a weird word choice there. To generate beautiful new mountains, deep valleys, and sprawling plains on untouched planets. So maybe they updated the... I see it. I see the chat.
Just making sure.
Maybe they updated the... like... terrain generation, and that might be more interesting because terrain's all kind of the same type of like certain distance of hills and valleys. So They're claiming you'll have mountain ranges and plains now. That could be cool. Maybe the planets will feel more like planets. Players can now organize their inventory with a single button press. That'll be nice. Fish tank themed helmets. I don't really care about that.
I saw Civ 7 comes out in like 12 days, maybe.
Dude, I'm so nervous because I'm a big Civ head.
Yep.
And like, I don't know, man. The shit that I've seen about Civ 7 makes me go like, this doesn't seem like Civ. We do have one lurker in chat.
$70.
Yeah, in case you're wondering, we do have a person here, but they're lurking.
Okay.
So yeah, there's someone here. It's just not as big as we were doing last week. We were popping last week. We're just a little slow this week. So I appreciate y'all hanging out. You don't need to chat, but
We'll just
we
something
see
a little more interesting on this.
yeah, we're yapping right now. We're talking about video cards and other stuff, but I don't think it matters all that much. We'll get people coming through as they come through. Oh, we got planets. Let's go.
Oh yeah, I mean, and check this out. So this is that Cassini sample thing that Epic Games put out, and it has a lot of very cool things in it. But it's a PCG demo. But so when you hit play here, for one, look at how many fucking asteroids it renders.
That's hot.
And I'm getting.
I really like that atmosphere shader too that it threw on Mars.
Yep. But so these are cool asteroids, right? But if I go and I start going up.
What's up, Shooty? Thanks for being here, bro. It was very quiet. I appreciate you being like, don't worry, chat is here. We are alive. But first,
so they're not,
15, 20 minutes with
asteroids.
no chat. So is this like a ring system, or I guess they're trying to be like, this is the asteroid belt because it's way too close to Mars. I guess it would be like a ring. System,
The camera speed isn't very high, so it takes me a while to get away from it. But it's a ring. It's just like, the dust particles that would make a ring around a planet, and it looks very convincing when I get far enough away. You get the banding and stuff.
Okay.
And they're all nanite, like instant static meshes, and it runs extremely well even in editor. My graphics card isn't even that unhappy right now.
Very cool.
Yeah, it looks incredible. And then if I go back out of this, they have all these other crazy example things here, but the coolest one is definitely this thing. Do that. And so this is all like PCG'd, all the wires and stuff like that. And I believe the exterior shell and stuff, but then you can go inside of it too, and it has this crazy thing in it. So I want to try to
wild.
maybe do some stuff with this at some point. This is fun for sure.
Hey, what's up, LFQ? I was we started streaming. I was lamenting the silence of chat, so I'm happy that you guys are here and you're chatting. We were talking about new graphics cards and a bunch of other stuff. Now my lighting has changed; it's less bright, so I'm going to turn my lamp on.
Nice,
fantastic. Yeah, we were talking about No Man's Sky updates coming. Tony was showing off. What was this thing called again?
It's called the Cassini sample.
Cassini. Yeah, Cassini sample. Got a nice. It looked like a good material on Mars. Dallas Mariner.
Yeah, there's a lot of parts of this that I want to kind of take a look at and see if I can, figure out what they're doing there. Because some of this would be helpful for like Weird Candy and some other stuff that we're doing. So
Weird Candy. We haven't thought about Weird Candy in like a year, dude.
I mean, I think about Weird Candy often.
Yeah, I mean, like, in earnest.
Yeah. I thought maybe these ring things would rotate or something, but I guess not. Yeah, it's weird because, all of this stuff is here and is cool. And they have all of their like props and assets here. And so these are designed to be used to, procedurally generate something like this.
Oh, so you can make like a little Mars habitat.
Yeah, and just modular components. But then I don't know. I don't totally understand if there's like something I'm doing wrong in this demo right now. But when I hit play, I get the asteroid field thing. I don't get any of this. So let's see if they say here. Yeah, it doesn't really say what to do. Just the examples. Just a lot of new PCG stuff, but space Final Frontier folder contains GPU compute and instancing examples. Use the Beam Me Up button in the Beam Me Up actor to activate Saturn's rings. By pressing 1 or PIE. Beam Me Up actor. Yeah, so it just has all this crazy stuff in it. So let's see what happens if I press this. Okay.
Wait, it's Saturn now. That's not Mars. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Why is it turning to Saturn when you hit play?
I'm not playing right now, which is weird too. It said in those instructions over there to hit the Beam Me Up button in the Beam Me Up actor, and it did this. So I guess now you can kind of see these rings a little better. And if I were to...
Oh, did it actually generate a space station? In front of that plane, there's like a corridor hallway now. The plane that all the assets were on. Oh, did it just disappear?
No, it's still here. Yeah. So I think that was still there, but it got rid of the thing with the sphere in it. Part of me wonders if... I mean, these are probably still here. Let me just... Let's see if we can zoom down here with like a ton of camera speed real quick. It's crazy how well all of this runs. Like, you would not think there was like a billion particles rendering on my screen right now.
Yeah, that is pretty nuts.
They're so far away too, though. I'm at camera speed 320, and this is how close I can get to them as quickly as I'm going. But yeah, and then I guess if I do what if this is a dream, it goes back to Mars, I guess. So.
Oh, there's like a button you click?
Yeah, so if I go to this actor here, this Beam Me Up actor, it just has these two. Oh, run Beam Me Up on Plan Editor, so that's why I'm getting the Saturn ship. And then okay. What if this is a dream? It goes back to Mars.
Yeah, I agree, LFQ. It is very pretty. Interesting that they chose like Valles Marineris as like the focal point for the Mars material.
This part?
If you look at yeah. So that huge thing is like a rift valley. They actually don't know how it's formed because we don't understand the geology of Mars.
Pretty good Mars texture.
It's a bigger canyon than anything that exists on Earth, including Marianas Trench.
Oh yeah, and isn't it like 35,000 feet tall or something? It's like way taller than our tallest mountain.
Yeah, Olympus Mons is crazy.
Yeah. It's like the size of the United States or something like that, if I remember correctly.
Valles Marineris, I think, is bigger than the continental U.S. I'm looking. And I think Mars is
only like two-thirds of Earth.
Yeah, it's like 60% the size of Earth. Yeah, I see an overlay for the continental U.S. The Rift Valley is bigger.
Yeah, so that means that the United States on Mars is like this entire face that we're looking at, basically.
Yeah, it's a little bit taller. So like Texas is probably a third of the way south of the lowest point there.
Yeah.
And then
it wouldn't cover it vertically, but it would cover most of it horizontally, right?
It's bigger than the U.S. horizontally.
Yeah. I'm just saying, like, if you were to overlay the U.S. on Mars, like, it would cover most of this.
Yeah.
Like, side of the planet, basically. Yeah.
Well, yes and no, but yeah, it's very, very large comparatively. Valles Marineris is 4,000 kilometers long, 200 kilometers wide, and 7 kilometers deep. But yeah, it doesn't. The shape of it doesn't make sense with what we understand of geology on Earth. I do know that. It's a very strange formation. But at the same time, so is Olympus Mons. And I guess like the question is like, what would it look like with water on it? And because we measure things on Earth altitude wise by sea level, and there is no ocean on Mars, so we start at below sea level.
That's a good point. Yeah. I have an entire level called chair. I'm interested.
Chair?
Yeah.
Oh,
let's see what the level called chair is.
If there's no chair in here, I won't be surprised.
It's literally just a chair.
It's only a chair.
Yeah, so something I've been learning about as I've been trying to do all of the performance stuff for Hyperskate is this new thing that you do for level streaming in UE5. It's called a packed level actor, and I would almost guarantee that's what this is. But so what that looks like, if we go and look at it, is it's probably going to be here. We have chair. Yep. So there's this chair level, and then there's this blueprint packed level actor native parent class. And so that basically just gives you the ability to reuse this in other levels. But then if you wanted to change the chair, for example, you can open this level up, make the edits, and then all of the versions of it and all of the levels stay, take your edits, and you don't have to go and adjust them manually. I feel like a chair is a really bad example of how to use this, of course.
Right.
They seemed like they wanted to use a chair for some reason. But yeah, I'm sure if we do like corridor room, that'll probably show off a better example of, this is the type of thing you could use in a PCG workflow now to just like bolt other stuff onto here. And if you wanted to come back in here and adjust the props or the materials or something like that, then this gives you a nice self-contained space to do that in. And also just in terms of like building and modeling, it's a lot easier, in my opinion, to be able to like lay something out in a nice empty space with a grid without any other stuff to distract you than it would be otherwise. So this will probably be the workflow that we use. I just need to make sure that it doesn't cause any issues with lighting or anything, because that was one of the things I ran into before.
Okay. Turn on my Discord streamer mode so I stop getting the beep boops. There we go. We did it.
This thing is just like, oh yeah, and the thing that this packed level actor does that is convenient is when it makes this blueprint that we were looking at here, it instances all of the static meshes that are in use inside of it automatically. So you can have like kind of bad practices when you're setting the level up, and then it's going to optimize it down for you, which is nice.
I was just thinking again about how LFQ said Mars got all the cool stuff, and I was thinking about how Mars like can't support Earth life. So I don't know how cool it is, bro. A very thin CO2 heavy atmosphere, no visible hydrologic cycle, all the cool stuff. Yeah. I mean, it'd probably be like great for plants, but it's just way too cold and way too irradiated. So we would have to make the atmosphere like, I think it's like 80% more thick or 90%, something like that. Or more dense, rather. Yeah, good planet for crops, right. I think it would probably have to start under like dome structure, and as the oxygen saturation gets too high for the plants, that would probably need to be vented like into Mars atmosphere. Something to protect the plants so they can grow and create oxygen. But as I've learned from the board game Terraforming Mars, the best way to get it started is to hit the planet's surface with like comets and asteroids and shit to
Greenhouse.
Yeah, create more greenhouse effect, put more particles into the atmosphere.
I'm sure the Americans would find some excuse to be like, no, it's just using nuclear bombs. I
mean, you totally could.
That is kind of how it goes
Titanium
in
gang.
like the Expanse and stuff too. They're just using nukes for everything.
Yeah, Artificial Sky knows Titanium gang. So you're a big space engine with your Terraforming Mars play. Nukes are definitely an option. I mean, like, okay, if we're talking about this, Terraforming Mars is a generational project. It's not something that we will ever see in our lifetimes, even if we started today. Like, if there was a project on Mars, they built shit, we will never see that in our lifetime to where, like, you could walk on the surface of Mars. It would take hundreds of years. Yeah. But I still think it's a noble pursuit. I think it's really important to create, redundancy for our species, because if we can live on another planet, I mean, granted, I'm talking about like 300 plus years from now, then all life could be wiped out on Earth and the species doesn't die out. So that's probably a good thing. Quite literally painting tree in which we will never stand in the shade of. Yeah, exactly. Panting? Did you mean painting? Planting. Yes, that's it. Yeah, exactly.
I think I was watching Silo, and that exact phrase was said in the episode I was watching last night.
Oh, planting a tree you'll never stand in the shade of?
They're talking about how, something was like long term and for the good of the people, and the person who planted that tree over there was never going to be able to sit in the shade of it, but they did it anyways. Like, I'm pretty sure it was Silo I was watching where they're talking about that. It was like yesterday.
Yeah, I think that shit's really important. I understand we live in a time when people don't understand space exploration. That's kind of like a modern, take on it, and that it's a waste of resources. But it's hard to know, but it's very, very important. There are, I almost want to say, like, there's like almost an infinite amount of ways that the human species could just be extinct, like rendered extinct, instantly or over time. Everything is a quote once you say it, yo. Yeah, who first said planting a tree? Boom, hi.
What's up, boom?
In which you... Oh, it's a Greek proverb. There you go. It's very old.
There you go.
It comes from the Greek Stoics. Yeah, Shoot
it often thinks of the Grecian Empire.
Yep. He ponders ancient history, wondering how we avoid the sins of the father. No, I know you do. I'm not being sarcastic, bro. I mean, I'm being sarcastic a little bit, but not like mocking you. I'm just saying. I guess glib, maybe? I don't know. I'm trying to make jokes, guys.
Second time you said glib in 24 hours.
Dog, I'd be like that. Sometimes words just, have a place. So boom, we're looking at the Cassini project and checking out like what they got. It looks pretty cool.
But I can make this thing reactive to music. That would be cool.
Shoot it is waving around his copy of the Meditations. Is that Aurelius? No, you're ancient Greek. Is that Plato?
It might be, yeah.
It was Aurelius.
Yeah, yes. Marcus Aurelius for sure.
I've never read it. I just know stuff. I'm more of a... Fuck, dude. What was... I'm throwing my own joke here. That's it. Musashi fan. Book of the Five Rings. That's what I'm more about. Honing my human experience through Bushido. What's the other shit that people? I think the first one, it used to be Sun Tzu Art of War. That was like the finance bro thing, and now it's like Book of the Five Rings. That's the contemporary, like, I learned to be a businessman by reading Book of the Five Rings,
or the Marcus Aurelius book. For sure.
Yeah, or meditations. Yeah. I mean, they're all important works, guys, and they're all very metaphorical when you apply them to business. So it's a little silly, but I mean, there's good ideas in that shit. A lot of it kind of comes off as common sense, I think. It has deeper meaning when you abstract, but yeah. Something like, don't bring cavalry onto sand and gravel. Like, don't have your cavalry fight in a riverbed against entrenched fucking archers. Like, that's like one of the lessons in Sun Tzu's Art of War. And I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Because your horses will get stuck and hurt, and then you just get withered away by arrows. But yeah, it is solid wisdom.
Something that's weird in here is that they have 3D modeled 3D widgets in each of these pieces. Like, this is part of the geometry here.
Oh, what?
And there's one in every, sometimes there's two. They're probably like spots for them to like attach things, I would imagine. But yeah, they're like modeled in here. It's very interesting. They don't even look that good in my opinion.
Yeah, we have 3D widget at home.
It's like how I would model it, probably.
I mean, isn't that just the default asset that exists, arrow, as like a primitive?
I don't think so. Let's see.
Maybe it's just a cone and a cylinder, and then they threw a color on it.
You got me curious. Let's see. Door D.
Anyway, chat, we should go to space and we should go to Mars. We also need to start doing stuff on Luna.
We need to keep calling it Luna until that sticks.
I mean, like, calling it the moon is kind of fucking brain dead if you know anything about astronomy. So I just kind of refuse. I'm just going to call it Sol and Luna. To be fair, remember who Sun Tzu's audience was. I mean, yeah, dude, yes. I mean, same with Miyamoto Musashi. Like, who was his audience? The samurai, because he was the most prolific and winningest swordsman and duelist. He won something like 93 duels or some shit like that, which is a crazy number because most people win like maybe 2 duels and then they get maimed or killed. Like, the dude was just a G. Isn't Rurouni Kenshin based on Miyamoto Musashi? I feel like it is. I could be way off base here, but I feel like it's based on him. Wizard School on the moon? I don't know, bro. I don't think we can have room for like fantasy wizardry in the sci-fi future. Maybe as like entertainment, but I triggered Artificial Sky. He hit me with the V. Think of the implications. Oh, no. I'm tracking. That wizard came from the moon. Yeah.
Okay, so this is an engine asset. It's in the PCG content specifically in the debug objects. So there you go.
Oh, very interesting. Oh, LFQ. Yeah. The reason why the Danish word for the sun is Sol is because Denmark has a very long history of good astronomers. So, yeah, that makes sense.
Well, Sol is like what they call it if you're looking at like a map of the universe, right?
Yeah,
And like,
I
it's
think
like this is our sun. It's called Sol, right?
Yeah, it was like
Yeah.
it was either the Greeks or the Romans, whoever were like the first European astronomers that started cataloging things in the sky. They came up with the words, Earth, Luna, Sol, all that, and that was before they understood the plurality of worlds and, who the fuck was that guy? Some dude that was killed in an Inquisition. He was a monk.
Some guy that was killed in an Inquisition.
Yeah, he was tried as a heretic because he was like a Christian monk or Catholic monk, something like that. No, it wasn't Galileo. It was fuck. Hang on. Plurality of worlds. Giordano Bruno, that's it. Giordano Bruno was tried, convicted, and told if he didn't renounce his heretical beliefs that he would be burned at the stake. He said, I love God, and I still believe in this, and God supports me. And so they roasted his ass.
Shit.
But yeah, he even in his time, he was like, guys, God made the universe. God made a bunch of planets. We're not the only planet with life on it. We can't be. And people were like, heretic. He's like, but I said God's a part of it. What do you mean? So yeah, he died for that. And but Bruno inspired Galileo. I know that. What do you mean Deus Sol Invictus?
In the sun there is truth, life.
I
don't
I thought
very well.
Invictus was like victory. What is
Yeah, that's probably right. Veritas is truth.
Equitas is justice. Invictus meaning maybe Google. Yeah, unconquerable. Sun god is unconquerable. Are you like referencing Zoroastrianism or some shit? You an acolyte of like Marduk or Tiamat? Tiamat, that's what it would be. What a nerdy conversation. Yo.
That's how it goes sometimes.
The Roman overgod. I see. The unconquerable sun god in the Roman pantheon. All right. We're just discussing religion, LFQ, you know? It's fine. Oh, what's this thing, Tony?
I don't know. I saw this like thing in here, sort of like computer thing, and I was like, oh, I wonder how that works. And then I pulled this shit up, and look how many layers the material has. It's a very interesting way to do that.
Holy shit.
So like if we open one of these up, like this whole thing is just like a half circle basically. Let's put it on a cube.
Yeah, I know you'd love this conversation, LFQ. I feel like we've just had these kinds of conversations off stream in like DMs. Oh, the monotheistic god that arose in Rome. I thought that was Christianity. You're talking like pre-Christianity pantheon?
Oh, they got pixels here. Does this do pixel things if I get close to it? Ooh. Oh, look at that. That looks nice.
Oh, sick. Okay.
Making my camera speed down. Don't clip. Just don't clip. It's fine.
No.
That looks pretty good. Might have to borrow that.
That is pretty cool. Anyway, science is important, chat. Science also includes astronomy. The more we explore space, the more we understand the nature of existence. That directly benefits us living on the planet. Yeah, I guess we're talking about space because of the Cassini project, right? Like, and I don't mean the, American.
Yeah, we
space
started talking about
exploration
Mars,
thing.
and here we are.
Wait, is that a joint effort with ESA, the Cassini probe? Yeah, and they sent that to Saturn. Cassini-Huygens. Is
Yeah, and
Huygens?
it actually looks like the material that they were using in here was from a different probe than Cassini. I thought that was funny. Where is that planet at?
Christian Huygens is a Dane, right? LFQ?
Yeah, this is from the Viking probe.
He's Dutch. I'm sorry. I apologize. He's Dutch. I didn't mean to fuck up my European geography and history, you know? I did often fuck those up because, my last name is part Dutch, and I was like, oh, Dutch, Denmark. It's the same shit, right? I know it's not the same shit. Y'all both got water type stuff and weird clogs and shit. You eat some kind of fish? Your accents are very silly. I'm just kidding. Your accent is not silly.
And they
I know
just
one
made
of
a
y'all
whole
got-
material they can just like feed all this crap into to make all these different UI things. It's very interesting.
So do you think you could like fuck with the UI just by like fucking with the blueprint there then? And like not changing the assets? Like you can...
Yeah, so like this one is this, but it has like all these parameters here. So I could change like the speed that it moves at, and I would imagine there are here's all the colors, lumen settings. There's got to be, I was assuming there's got to be like a place where you can put in a different like picture here. That's what I don't get. Like, how are they doing like this one? Oh, just like that or something. Yeah, it's all just like dots and lines and tiling and colors, and it's really impressive that that works that way.
I immediately got distracted by trying to pronounce in my head Elagabalus or Elagabalus or Elagabalus. I don't fucking know. How do you say that shit?
Elagabalus.
He has risen Elagabalus. Oh no, that's a Roman emperor. Oh man, I'm fucking up.
Okay, so that's the main texture. Man, that's complex for just showing a texture. Jeez.
Oh shit, damn dude, Lil Bro was emperor for 4 years as a teenager. His reign was notorious for religious controversy. Okay, so shooted's on point, and alleged other bad stuff. He was one of those bad Me Too guys. I don't know what that means in the context of ancient Rome, but boom! I love that you print the screen. We can point you at this, and you can go download the Cassini project. But yeah, Tony didn't make
this. You can just get this on Fab.
Just put the Cassini in the bag, Lil Boom.
Lil Boom.
Yup. I mean, live your life the way you want, Boom. I'm not trying to tell you what to do. Just trying to help you have more information and more stuff, you know?
Yeah, they got this one here called Migrate. It's better than print screen.
Migrate.
That's true. You could just steal all of this into your own project in like one click.
Boom, did you know about the UE copy paste feature? This is crazy as fuck. You can click on any asset in editor, Control C and Control V that into a chat message, and then paste that in your own project, and it works. It generates this crazy huge string of like code that Unreal understands. It's really weird.
Yeah, they have blueprintue.com. You can paste them in here, and you can look at people's. It'll render the blueprint in the browser for you to look at. But then you can just do what Vince is talking about and just copy this out and into your own project.
Yeah, like it makes sense if you're going editor to editor and like, oh, I'm in one copy of the editor and going to the other copy, but like you could post it in like Discord and then copy all that, several paragraphs of text and then paste it in Unreal, and it works.
Yeah, and if you want to make your brain hurt, like you can start thinking about the fact that like what you're pasting is effectively just a config object in a text file under the hood that the engine is reading to like do what you're seeing on screen and compiling into your game and stuff, and that shit's crazy.
It's so weird. I don't understand how they made that work.
This pixel shader looks really good.
Oh shit, LFQ, I love that idea. Like a manuscript, but it's just your entire project copy pasted into
like
text.
Modern art project. I like it.
Holy shit. No, that's really cool. It could be okay, so the modern art project is like a classic game like Pong or something, ported to Unreal and then copy pasted into like a manuscript.
Oh, you could get so many bullshit like
yeah, there you go, boom.
Like, first video game released in published book form or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly, boom. And then you copy paste that shit and put it in your project and it will work. I don't
feel like
you spilled your spaghetti.
I feel like that's probably not all of it, but
scoop it up as fast as you can and put it back in your pockets, boom.
Yeah, I should be able to, like, in theory, maybe go in here. I don't know if there's going to be nodes in any of these things that... I'm sure this UE blueprint paste thing does not work with, like, all the crazy, not normal blueprint types, like the PCG graphs and stuff, but... Yeah, in theory, you could, like, grab all of this here, and I can go over here. Back to this page, and then if I paste... I'm just gonna fractal fast. There you go. Same blueprint.
That's so wild.
From Unreal, and then, if you guys want this, you can go and chat, and you go there, and you can have it.
That's so crazy. It's so weird that Unreal does that. Like, it blows my mind every time. What's up, Acid Hex? Dropping the boom emote. Do I have Prime? Oh, I don't have my Prime. February.
Oh, I was gonna try to turn on. They have like a grid visualization that you can do here. What was that file though?
Chat, do you say sherbet or sherbert?
I'm a sherbet person.
I was always a sherbet person until I realized there was only one R. And I just started saying sherbet.
I feel like one of my parents had to have said sherbet, so I'm going to blame them.
It's everybody's. LFQ doesn't say that word at all. Go to
good response.
Is there what's the Danish word for sherbet? Surely you guys have icy sweet fruit treats in Denmark.
They ain't called sherbet.
Also Also, chat. I fuck with rainbow sherbet. It's good.
Good. Absolutely. Okay.
Unreal fast.
Here you can enable that cell and that cell. Save.
It's like ice cream. So sorbet is made from like fruit juice, but sherbet has something else in it. Maybe egg. I don't know. It's more creamy. Kind of like gelato, but it's not made with eggs. So I realize now
I think it's just fruit juice, right? And probably...
Well, that's sorbet, right? Difference between sherbet and sorbet. Small amount of dairy, that's it. Like a milk or a cream in sherbet.
TIL. Let's see if this grid keeps forming as I go. Yes, it does. Interesting. Can't see anything now? That's interesting. Where'd the planet go?
You're not that fancy there. That's okay. I appreciate the do you count as a Scandinavian? Yeah. I appreciate the Scandinavian Spartan lifestyle. The concept of like everyone is sort of, not an overachiever, not an underachiever, but doing the things that are important for like society and your local community. I think that's some good culture. I don't know if that's a Danish thing or not. Speaking of which, LFQ, do you know the pastry that we call a Danish? That shit's weird. I don't know why it's called a Danish. I don't think they even make those in Denmark. It's like a croissant with like cheese on top of it.
Cheese Danish is my favorite pastry for sure.
It's pretty fucking good. I'm not gonna lie.
So good. Oh my god.
So you do have those there. Is it just called? Do you guys just call it like a roll or something like that? Cheese roll, cheese bread. They also have fruit danishes. It's just a pastry. Yeah, exactly. So you're like, yeah, these are just pastries. All right, that makes sense.
I bet this ring that you start to see as you come up is just a material. It's gotta be.
Oh, like it LODs into a material?
Like you see this like banding in here?
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure because I was looking through here and I saw something that was like a mesh that didn't really look at Planetsphere ring right here. It's just like there's nothing in here, but I kind of have a feeling maybe it's like out here or something. I can't really see it anywhere. I think it's like very, very small here maybe. Yeah, like right there. But I gotta imagine they've just done something to like make that really big and kind of like overlay as you get far away from it so that you kind of see that banding appear in there.
Hit F.
Otherwise, they have to like be PCGing like densities and stuff, which I mean, I wouldn't put it past them. But I don't think they did. So
when you're in that like asset view, what happens if you hit F? You like zoom all the way in on it?
On this one,
I got stream
here.
delay, so.
I can get rid of the grid, and I think I can get rid of the thing here. I'm trying to remember how to do that. Where's my preview settings? Yeah, I don't know, but it's interesting. Wireframe.
Yeah, what?
Oh, it's so dense. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's the wireframe. That's crazy.
So it's not a material, dude. No.
Well, this is a mesh, and then the mesh has a material on it.
Oh, I see.
Here.
I see. I see. It's just a really smooth circular plane, right?
Yeah, and they got like they're just putting this one's just plain white, I would imagine, and then this one's just a little not totally white, and they're doing some opacity masking stuff to it here.
And some like
Based
noise.
on your world position, so the farther away you get, the more it shows up. Yep, there's that. And then this right here is making the density of the color or the brightness or something like that.
Boom, print screen
stuff. Yeah, planet looks good. I wonder if they got to be using sky atmosphere. Yeah. You can see they have an atmosphere wrapped around this planet. Like normally when you're setting up like your lighting in Unreal, you put the sky atmosphere in and you're inside of it so that it looks like you're on a planet. They've taken it and it is around this planet here so that you can create the atmosphere effect of the sun hitting it and stuff like that.
Tony Boom asks, what in the nanite high poly is going on that disk?
Yeah, that's a very good question. What is our poly count looking like here? 8,000 tries on a sphere that is 200 units across.
Not even a sphere, it's a plane.
Or a torus that is 200.
Yeah, like a flat torus.
Across.
That's crazy.
Yep. Here's what it looks like on, I think I'm on the surface of Mars right now, probably. Turn our camera speed up here. See.
Is there actually anything on the surface?
No, but I was inside that atmosphere. See, so as I move down into it.
Oh, that's very cool.
Now I'm inside the atmosphere, so we get some, sun effect. Sun's up there. In theory, we should be able to go over to like the dark side of the planet and kind of experience a different type of lighting. Come up above the atmosphere here. That's pretty cool. They did well with that. I know you could do this. I haven't actually ever tried it though.
But the surface is just a material, yeah?
Yeah, and the surface is just a pretty basic sphere. We're on the northern top edge of it, and so we're just kind of getting I think the poles or something like that here in this material. And we're very close to it, of course, so it's kind of hard to see the detail. But this would probably be the pole right here, this white part. Yeah, so that ring was super high poly, and this one is not that high poly. It is 100 units across in 5,000 tries. So if we do the wireframe view, and very dense, but I mean, you need that to make it that big and have it remain round. So yeah. Cool project.
But there's less polys in the planet than there are in the disk.
It just has to be bigger. So guess that would be why. Yeah, because what are they putting this disk at? It's got to be here. Ring. Okay, hydrogen. Oh, it's in the asteroid belt.
I wish Brightside was here to learn about astronomers. I was just thinking about that. I was looking at pictures of Domenico Cassini. I was like, yo, young Cassini out here with the curly ass wig.
I saw somebody on Twitter like later that day talking about non-Euclidean something, and I almost put it in the Discord.
Young
like,
Euclidean.
This shit's gonna start coming up in your life.
Yeah. What is what's the thing that's not confirmation bias? It's like, is it synchronicity? No, that's when multiple people have the same novel idea in like different parts of the world without communicating.
Are you talking about like when you start noticing something in your life constantly after you?
Yeah, that's confirmation bias, right?
No, I can't remember what it's called, but
what is it called when you recency bias?
that might be it. I feel like it's not technically recency bias because I feel like that means that you're like biased about something, but there is some phenomenon that's explained. I can't remember what it's called.
Yeah. Frequency illusion or the Bader-Meinhof phenomena.
Okay, I'm getting bored of looking at Cassini, but we're gonna stick with the theme, and we're going to City Sample next. I want to look at some other
sweet
stuff. Yeah. There is no like true example project in my opinion, or like content sample part that has to do with world partition yet, and everybody kind of points to like look at City Sample or potentially like Valley of the Ancients. There's a few that use world partition kind of like for a game that probably doesn't need it, like even Lyra kind of has it for just like an arena shooter, but they do say City Sample in terms of like making an open world game is probably the closest you're going to get for an example from them right now.
And YouTube chat is tumbleweeds, as always.
Oh,
what's up, Omni?
Yo.
I've recently started pronouncing Omni's name as Omnidyne MC, keeping it 90s instead of Omnidynamic.
The Dyne MC.
Mm-hmm.
You guys started talking about Project Zomboid last Thursday, and you blew my weekend up because I downloaded it and played it for way too many hours.
How many hours is way too many, Tony?
I mean, for me, it was like, I don't know, 10 hours over the weekend. but that's a pretty high number. So, but yeah, it's a very fun game. I like it a lot.
I think way too many for me is like more than 24 in a 2-day period.
Yeah.
I've been there. I've done that. Chat, Ninja Gaiden 2 is great. We're going to be playing that tomorrow. It'll be really fun. I was playing on the hardest difficulty. The muscle memory is coming back to me, but I'm still on like the first level. I don't think... Yeah, I was on the boss of the first level. So I'll start a brand new playthrough so you guys can see the challenge.
I had posted about it in the Discord, but it's really cool especially if you're into Unreal and game dev and stuff, because this thread talks about how it's effectively running the original game under the hood still, and then just taking the output from that to render the game in UE5 with brand new graphics and visuals and everything. But the original game is running like headless under the hood, which is very weird to think about. But at the end of the day, video games are just kind of a bunch of numbers running in a simulation on a computer that you're providing input to. So that's all that's going on, and then they're just feeding that into UE5 instead of whatever the old rendering system was. And there's some other quality of life changes on top of it and stuff like that, but everything just kind of hooks into that original code base, which is really interesting.
That's so crazy.
Yeah, I want to say even in here they show an example of like both running side by side, or they like modified the old models into the new game, something like that. But apparently Tekken, Soul Calibur, and Final Fantasy VII have already done this using Unreal Engine before too, which I did not know.
Crisis Core. Okay.
Yeah. All the original models are just in the game. In every character blueprint, the Sigma 2 model is present and hooked up to an anim blueprint called Copy Bone from Sigma 2. They then use Unreal Engine 5's IK retargeter to retarget the Sigma 2 animations to the new models, and then they hide the original models. It's kind of like really inefficient way to do that, but rather than them, like baking all of the anims to new models and like having to pay artists to do the 3D pipeline, they just like ran it all through the IK retargeter in real time. Very interesting.
That's so crazy.
Anyways, these player actually parent from an actor class called character base, which parents of common work base. If we use debugging tools, yeah, you can see all of what's going on under the hood. Yeah, so they're able to just kind of like tie like the particle system and stuff into things happening in the old code base to, you know, leverage the new UE5 stuff. They did rebuild the levels in Unreal, and they used the instancing system a little bit when needed. Kind of interesting. It looks like I had to probably redo the collisions, or at least like re-import them. The main persistent level is called game module test level in the shipped game. Love that.
Omni, we've talked about that a little bit. I think Tony was believing that we probably would. You'd see kind of like you load into Unreal and then you can like play games or build things. It'll just kind of be the main program, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And I think kind of the process that they're talking about doing here too, where you kind of like take an existing, you know, technology or process that's running and you kind of just like strap a new front end onto it, for lack of a better term, with like more modern technology is just going to be more and more possible over time with like AI and improvements in processing power and stuff like that. You know, there's no reason that you wouldn't be able to hook a similar process like this into, you know, the code that runs Ocarina of Time and replace all of the models so that it looks better, but it's just the same game under the hood. They've shown that they can definitely do that now.
Omni, I don't think it would go that direction. That doesn't seem like it's worth it for them.
No.
To like make an Unreal box.
If anything, it's going to get more Apple, if you want my opinion. They've already said UE6 will basically just be UEFN and Unreal combined together. They've kind of shown what they've done with Fab and all of that, that they're definitely pushing things more into kind of this like mega one-stop shop marketplace type thing where you can just do everything and it does everything and it's on every platform. You know, they just rolled the Epic Game Store out on Android and iOS, and you can distribute games that way now as opposed to having to go through the Play Store or the App Store. It's going to keep going that way for sure. They're just building themselves a platform, is what you would call it.
Sort of a non sequitur.
Yeah.
Sort of a non sequitur, but I wanted to see. I hope everyone's having a good day. How are y'all doing today? What y'all got going on? And I wanted to also throw out there that Omni is now reading books. It's a big change for Omni.
Yep, big things.
It's a good thing. You should read more books, bro. Omni, we were saying we could copy paste our entire project when we, you know, finish a game and then publish it as like a piece of physical media from Unreal, and it's just the output of like literally everything that you copy paste from the project. It could be a modern art piece. Dude, we could probably sell it as like a collector's edition perk, you know? Not that I necessarily advocate for that, but I feel like that would be a quality collector's edition perk, you know? Like this guy. This guy's dope. Worth the money. Literally LOL, says Omni. I like it.
Let's just hit play and see what happens.
I also like how I asked all of chat how you guys are doing and hope you're doing well, only to make the joke about Omni reading more books, or I guess reading books. I do genuinely want to know how everyone else is doing, and I hope you guys are doing well. On this fine Wednesday. Wednesday. How do you...
Never good to think about it too hard, in my opinion.
That's why I said February all weird. Secret to future successful games is going to be storyline. An amazing storyline or having movies and TV series made of it. Okay, so that's tricky, Omni, because a game isn't just the story. That's when you end up with a game that is like a movie. That's where you end up with The Last of Us, the Uncharted series. Those are borderline not games. Or you go all the way over into the Telltale style, which is not really a game. It's kind of a choose your own adventure while you're watching a movie.
Well, it immediately brings Armored Core to mind for me too, because that's a game that is completely inaccessible to 90% of people and has one of the better stories I've ever heard in a video game. And you know, it's never going to get the appreciation that it deserves, and that's just kind of how it is. And I don't know. And there's a lot of games that are extremely popular that have zero story.
I think, well, I would push back a little bit on Armored Core, because I think those who know. Like, people who understand 100%. Armored Core are really into it. But you are right. There is.
I'm just saying, like, the story caliber is just like on a completely different level than, you know, some AAA game that everybody will play and will hear about and will think is amazing. And
Assassin's Creed. I mean,
not that deep. I mean, you know, Spider-Man, Uncharted, Last of Us, like, name it. But God of War.
Yo, Adder.
I didn't mean to name only Sony games, but that's how it goes, I guess.
Adder with the base take. Games industry got to chill on single-player campaign content quantity and focus on quality. It'll improve experience and cut budget. All things we need. 100%. Brightside just says Rage Shadow Legends. Yo, bro, are you sponsored by them? Yeah, AC died a long time ago. I feel like I started to appreciate AC and like kind of get a little interested in it when it was
talking about Assassin's Creed and not Armored Core.
Yeah, I apologize. Okay. Assassin's Creed. Armored Core is thriving, in my opinion. 5 was a miss. I still played a shit ton of 5. I really enjoyed it, but I know that 5 was, if you enjoyed the series, 5 was very weird. They try to make it like a game as a service with like this living world, and like 2,000 people played it on Xbox, and that was it. So I just remember the campaign map being dominated by irrelevancy, and I was not going to go join someone else's Armored Core clan. The whole like battle system over clan bases and shit was really weird too. Dude, what kind of room is that? You get in trouble, you go sit in the room that faces the street with the door at your back.
Yeah, there's a lot of rooms that are kind of funny like that for sure.
This is Unreal City sample, and those aren't real rooms, right? That's just like a wacky material.
Yeah, this is the Matrix demo for sure. Yeah, and this I obsessed over this for like 2 months last year, but yeah, this is just purely a material, and one material across like every building in the entire city, and it just has like a fuck ton of all of these like crazy PCG properties that are like, I don't know, when you look at it, even if you know what you're doing in Unreal, it doesn't look like anything I've ever seen before. This one also has soda machines blocking the door.
Yeah.
But like all these pieces in here are modular. So like that doorway and the soda machines are 2 different pieces that got, you know, procedurally generated together in the scene. And so that's why stuff like that happens sometimes. But it's one of those things where like I was trying to make procedurally generated buildings, and the best method that I could figure out for it was to grab like chunks of these values, because it's basically set up like a big array of these like IDs for the rooms, and each ID corresponds to like a combination of all of these things, and I could never figure out how to generate it myself. So I would just copy giant strings of them from like the biggest building in the sample, and then if I apply that to every single building and then tell my code to like pick a random chunk out of it, that worked pretty good to like kind of get the same effect. But I would love to revisit this now with, you know, another year and a half of experience under my belt and see if I can figure it out.
Adder's saying that shader was pioneered for the Spooderman game. That's really interesting. Which I always like. I'm really bad at remembering like studios and like people's names who are, you know, famous game directors or actors and shit like that. Which studio actually created that? And I guess it would probably be like a specific engineer or like a couple engineers that made that shader.
Omni, I can't clip when I'm
it's
in
not
that
real
mode, but I can do if I just simulate here.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's not real, Omni. That's the weird part about it.
Yeah, but so yeah, here I'm in simulate mode, so I'm not actually like playing now. But if I go in here, because of the way the PCG works, it tends to kind of model like the outside of the building on the inside too, in most cases. But yeah, you can see these whole blocks are all just kind of like, if I don't know if I can click on these, but yeah, so if I go into one of these, you'll see that like it's hard to do in this setting, but like this piece right here is a piece, and that piece is the same piece, and they're just like tiled next to each other, of course. And then this is a different piece on top of it. And these buildings are literally just constructed like Legos from the ground up using just kind of random combinations that look nice together. And they build this whole city out this way. And there's 5 or 6 kind of style sets of buildings, and they just it's very cool. If you go look at our YouTube, we kind of started doing a city generator that I built from scratch, but it uses these assets. And I was kind of trying to figure it out, and I was doing it really rough. Oh wow, I crashed it. Nice. I was doing it really rough with the blueprint at the time, and I need to go back and, you know, apply some of my PCG knowledge now.
Adder, I was wondering who it was because when I was at Free Range, the leadership team talked a lot about their work on Spider-Man, and I was like, how the fuck, like, what did you guys even work on? I didn't know Free Range was even a part of it, so it was weird to me. That's why I was like, but they didn't make it. But I mean, they kind of did the same thing about Callisto Protocol. There's a lot of like rah-rah and cheering about the team's work on Callisto Protocol, and I was like, I don't think this game's good though. And then of course it came out, and there was a lot of like, don't read what you see online, guys. You did great work. And I was like, uh-oh. That's not good advice for a team. Adder asks, or says, oh dope, that's a lot of work. Procedural content stuff is a whole thing. Houdini or in UE?
The one that we did, it was all in UE. I've never touched Houdini to this day. I don't have enough space in my brain for it right now. But I was trying to utilize everything within Unreal without having to go to Houdini. I was trying to see if I could do that. So my understanding of how this works is that a lot of the kind of like nodes that it builds everything out of and stuff were generated in Houdini, and then Unreal handles a lot of the actual generation on top of that. But I'm kind of just speaking from reading about it 2 years ago and haven't looked at it in a long time.
Chad, I got a haircut last week and realized that my beard is now longer than my hair. PCG has started to negate the need for Houdini. I prefer all UE if possible. Adding a third-party tool just adds steps to content generation. 100%, dude.
I feel the same way about Blender. That's what I try to do as much as I can, just in the modeling tools now.
Only one hair LFQ, or did you get like you know, a region of hairs cut shorter?
So yeah, these are all the buildings in the PCG kit. I want to say these are probably just meshes, or yeah, these are generated. There's another project that is called City Sample Buildings that has all of them broken down into their individual parts, and that's where I was sourcing pretty much everything we were doing from.
Yo, Brightside started using the modeling tool and got a short from us on YouTube. Hey, it's working.
No way. Let's go.
That's sick, dude.
Oh, was it the one about Copernicus or Euclideus or something? I almost sent that one to you. It's literally about like a Greek math guys. Yep, totally.
Yeah, man refuses to open Blender or something like that.
Yep.
Young Euclidean is back again, bro. Boom likes Blender.
I'm not saying it's not fun. The part that isn't fun is
Modeling.
close Unreal, open Blender, make, edit, re-import into Unreal. Don't like, okay, now you either got to re-export it from Unreal back to Blender and change it again, or just, you know, something like that. It's nice when you can just not leave Unreal ever. Some of our projects too, like even on my computer, take, you know, 2 or 3 minutes minimum to open, and it just gets really tedious to close and open them over and over.
Brightside, I was lamenting at the top of the stream that you weren't here earlier because we were talking about astronomy and what, ancient Rome? Is that what you were on? Artificial Sky? Yeah. God, what was that guy's name? I can't even remember now. Some kind of nonsense. Let me scroll up and see if I got it here. Wizard School, also the Romans. Elagabalus or Elagabalus? Elagabalus? I don't know, some kind of shit like that. Roman Emperor. Young Elagabalus. Elagabalus. I don't know. We were looking at the... What the fuck was that? The Cassini project. And so we started talking about like space and astronomy and all that. Also, LFQ's from Denmark. So we were talking about Christian Huygens. So we got some more history for you, Brightside. Brightside, if you haven't, you should watch Cosmos. Oh, did I say Dutch, bro? I'm sorry. I meant Danish. I told you I fucked that up, dude. I fuck it up all the time. I don't know why. It's like the same shit in my head. And I know it's not. But I just say the wrong word. I am Dutch. Kinda. I'm like all of Western Europe. Not culturally. Culturally, I'm American. Cosmos was on... Okay, so there's two versions. There's the really old one from the 70s, around the time of the Voyager project with Carl Sagan. Fantastic. So it's definitely dated, but still really good stuff if you don't mind watching older things. And then there's a newer series that was produced by Seth MacFarlane. Yeah, it's Seth MacFarlane, right? I always fuck up the MacFarlanes. One of them is the Spawn guy that makes action figures, and one of them is like the Family Guy guy. It's the Family Guy guy. So
See,
this
I always
dude,
mix up the Seths. It's always Seth MacFarlane, Seth Rogen, Seth Green. They're all kind of clowns. I can never remember which is which.
So he was passionate about Cosmos, wanted to bring it back for a modern generation, and had Neil deGrasse Tyson be the host of it. It's still really good stuff. Neil got a little weird, but he was Carl's protege, and he is an astronomer. I think he's also a physicist. I don't know specifically what his disciplines are, but I know that he, ponders the nature of the cosmos and does it using science. So, but Neil got weird on social media, unfortunately, and I find that he took his message of celebrating science and bringing it to the layman or the curious, and he turned that into like condescension and speaking down to people, and that's not the correct way to make it work, unfortunately. You asked what it was on, and I rambled a bunch. 1 second. No, not Cosmos Pizza. What the fuck?
I mean,
it's called Cosmos: A Space-Time Odyssey. I think it was on Netflix for a while. Looks like it's on Prime Video. No longer on Netflix, but yeah, that used to be my like fall asleep show for years. Same with original Cosmos. Very good stuff. Let's go with Cosmos Sagan. That is on. Oh, it may not be listed anymore. You might be able to watch all this shit on YouTube, bro. Cosmos: A Personal Voyage, I think is what it's called. It's a 13-part series. That's with Carl Sagan. It's from the 70s. It was around the time of the formation of SETI and the launch of the Voyager probes, which Carl Sagan was involved in. It's kind of a weird way of speaking, but super smart dude, very passionate about science. Really tried to help people understand why science is important. And he talks about the nature of the cosmos and life itself as we know it on planet Earth. That would make sense if you've ever heard Carl Sagan talk.
Actually modeled the inside of these cars.
Oh shit, that's wild. Looking as good as the Division.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the reason this looks as good as it does is because Sony paid for them to make this to show off the PS5. So they gave Epic a lot of money, and or I'm sure Sony helped them, but yeah. Still, I mean, this and Electric Dreams are both extremely impressive for two different reasons, but I was hoping this would have some landscape use in it, because that's one of the things I'm trying to figure out for our own needs for World Partition right now, but it kind of looks like the entire thing is just like ground plates and stuff. Which makes sense. There's not a ton of need for landscape if you're not going to literally see a single pixel of it, but
yeah, it's just an island, right? They were going for like a New York type of deal.
Yeah. Yeah, and so there's a small version. This is the small version, and then there's a large version that takes 4 times as long or something to load. That's like approximately the size of New York, I believe. But yeah, it would be very fun to keep working on this project someday. But one of those things I just keep myself from doing so that we can stay focused on things.
Yeah, it's all good, bro. Yeah, Brightside. You should watch Cosmos. The Neil deGrasse Tyson one does a lot of like history and talks about the history of science. It's really interesting in many ways. Like I was thinking about like the way the spectrometer was invented was understanding the nature of light using prisms, which was like a Bavarian state secret for a really long time, was like glass making. So like the best glass makers were like in Germany, and so they had like basically secret knowledge about how glass worked, and they could understand light better than a lot of other people. And then they made telescopes and shit. I can't remember who it was that discovered like visible spectrum of light either.
Yeah, it's one of those big guys for sure.
Oh, it was Newton, but someone else developed the prisms that he used. Anyway, doesn't matter. Science, history. Brightside, do you say sherbet or sherbert? We were asking that earlier too. LFQ said I don't use that word. I mean, I guess that's an open question for anybody. Yeah, who said they say sherbert? Was that Shooty? I feel like it was Shooty said sherbert. Sherbet.
There you go.
Yo, dude, that's the best. That's so much better. I'm sorry, do you mean sherbet? Yeah, I'd like a tub of the rainbow sherbet from Kroger. Brightside doesn't use the word sherbet either. Have you never had sherbet or sherbet, as you might have? You know, most people say sherbet, at least Americans. There's not another R. It's I don't know why we say sherbet, but I grew up saying that. Raspberry.
Apparently, Blender is trying to make it so that at least 2% of their funding comes from private donations. They're a nonprofit entirely donation-based, but currently, presumably more than 98% of their funding comes from corporations, and they want that to be a little more user-driven, I guess is what they're saying.
Interesting.
Yep. So there's like this whole campaign that they're doing. So if you guys ever see this now, you know what they're talking about. That it says join the 2%, and that's what they're trying to do is get people to give them money to bring that up to 2%, so that they have less corporate influence.
I mean, I guess that's kind of like what we're doing, right? Like same type of shit.
I'll take some corporate money if anybody wants to give us some. But
yeah, true. We do have some stipulations though. We want creative control. Sorry.
Didn't think this was going to compile shaders. Sorry for the exciting content here, guys.
I mean, we're talking about science, bro. It's pretty dry, so
yep.
I'm surprised that you guys aren't fucking with the like frozen sweet treats. You know, lots of non-sherbet enjoyers in chat. I guess to be fair, it is kind of like a kid's thing, but I don't know. I like sherbet. So, ice cream's tough because sometimes ice cream is just like too much. I think that's what I like about sherbet. And sorbet doesn't have any cream to it. It's just like fruit ice. So I like the middle ground there. It's like soft generally. I will say it's pretty similar to gelato. It's just not as heavy as gelato.
Apparently,
thank you, Adder.
Substance 3D subscribers now get unmetered access to nearly 20,000 professional materials, models, and lights from the Substance 3D assets library. No points, no restrictions. I don't have Substance, but I know like Boom does, so that's cool.
Yeah, that seems good.
Yeah.
Yeah, Adder, I am also a child, but I'm a 41-year-old child, so yeah, I fuck with sherbet all the time. I also keep those like horrible. I mean, I don't think they're horrible. I think they're delicious, but I'm sure they're really bad for you. I didn't say I would fuck it, bro. I said I fuck with it. It's a turn of phrase. But you know, I got like the Hostess cupcakes, but they're the birthday cake funfetti style. Amazing. And then the Little Debbie oatmeal cream pies, we got those too. Delicious. And I mean, for what it's worth, I don't have diabetes, so maybe one day. Hopefully not.
Hopefully not. These days, they'll just put you on Ozempic and fix you right up.
Yeah, I'm not fucking with Ozempic. I saw something on social media that someone was like, I've been taking Ozempic and now I'm like, my bones are made of paper. and they were like
I think I did
24.
see something like that. Yeah, totally.
They were like, "Don't take this drug; it makes your bones rot." And they had like, you know, rapid onset osteoporosis and shit. Like their bone density was just completely wrecked. I don't know how truthful that is, but this person's claiming it on social media, so it's probably real, chat. You know, they're definitely not doing it for clout. I do know someone who is older who was taking Ozempic and it didn't do shit for him. It literally did nothing. Maybe they lost like 10 pounds in like 6 months of use. Yeah, I'm with you on that, Adder. Speaking of which, I was thinking I was lactose intolerant. I may not be as much as I thought I was. I might just have like an alcohol allergy. I was trying to correlate this stuff, but I think drinking less just generally made my GI system happier.
Yeah.
But I do know that for me, milk is like whole milk is pretty tough. Generally makes my stomach very unhappy. Yeah, drinking less beer turns out is actually better for you overall.
I mean, that tracks because I drink very rarely, and even a small amount of drinking just makes me feel like such ass.
Bro, I got bad news. Whiskey does the same shit. I love whiskey. Whiskey is the best spirit. I keep whiskey in the house, but definitely, you know, it's probably an age thing too. As you get older, you really can't drink that much. I started noticing it in my 30s, and then as I get like, you know, deeper into 40, like, dude, I can have, you know, like 2 beers at a function just socially, like over, you know, a 2-hour period, and I will start feeling a hangover in like the end of the second hour. Like, you just start getting a headache, you feel really dehydrated. And that's with like 2 beers.
I'm just going to keep whiplashing us back into video games. Starting in January 2026, PS4 games will no longer be a key benefit and will only occasionally be offered for PlayStation Plus monthly games and game catalog. We may still provide titles that can be playable on both PS4 and PS5 consoles after this date.
Wait, they're ending backwards compatibility? Or are they just
no, they're
stopping
just not.
PS4
They're going to
stuff?
stop giving away PS4 games on PlayStation Plus in 12 months. They are going to run out of PS5 games to give away very quickly, but
Same matter. Big same. I mean, we're Colorado boys, so you know how it goes. LFQ, same. Yeah. Might be allergic. You always wake up with a headache and can't remember anything from the day before. I always remember stuff, and like that's you know, that cuts both ways. I remember the dumbass shit that I did the night before, and I'm like, oh, why did I do that? And I was like, because I had no judgment. Making very poor decisions. The best part about having one whiskey is how much it makes me want to have 3 whiskeys. Yeah, dude, the spins are like the worst part. But I blame my Western European genes on high tolerance. I just always have had a high tolerance, even when I was like, you know, younger, about 21, if not older than 21. But when I had my first beer, you know, yeah, I just naturally had a really high tolerance. So I think for me that was kind of a sign, like, hey, be careful with this because you just naturally have a high tolerance. Yeah, that minimap is very cool. This is a part of the...
That just was the world partition. Yeah.
Oh, Oh, that's just a part of the world partition settings. Yeah.
That's part of the UI because
I remember this now. Yeah.
Stuff that we're looking at here, I don't think is actually loaded. We're probably looking at like a lot of like HLODs and stuff, if I had to guess. And so this is how you load and unload stuff over here.
Yeah, I remember that from working on stuff at another studio where we were using world partition.
There's a way too that you can just borrow this and put it into your game pretty easily too, which is nice. If you aren't actively using it in editor perf is the problem. Close it as in like exit out. It's not like if I leave it like that, is it still a problem?
Adder's saying it eats a lot of perf.
Yeah, okay. Interesting. Good to know. We almost never use world partition, but we're trying to move to using it in Hyperskate for obvious reasons. So I'm trying to familiarize.
He was saying you got to X out of
suggestions for where I can learn things because I feel like there's not too many good resources.
Yeah, we've been banging our heads against world partition stuff for a little bit now. So if you got any suggestions, we're looking for them at her. It's one of those like really big complicated things that like if you know, and the information isn't necessarily shared outside of the
definitely
industry.
Understand it much better than I used to, but there's still just a few things that I'm like, I feel like there just isn't an answer to this question right now that I can find on the internet.
Honestly, Artificial Sky, I think I agree with the internet. You do need Jesus. Adder, the big brain play is to have 1 water per alcohol. If you do that,
all this loads.
If you do that, you'll be solid. Omni, you can clip stuff, bro. There's like a little a slate on the Twitch controls for the video. So if you hover over the video, hit the slate, it says clip. It'll grab the last 5 minutes, and then you can scrub to pick the exact thing you want. Hit OK, and it'll just be on our channel. Bro, you can clip it. Don't be scared, man. We need more clippers. If you guys want to clip, please clip. I say all kinds of wacky shit that out of context would be hilarious clips, and I don't mind. Anime was doing it a bit. Anna's clipped it a bit. But yeah, all of you guys are welcome to clip. But which one specifically, Omni? I said a couple silly things. The one about Artificial Sky needing Jesus? Yeah, I feel like we've come full circle. We talked about the Romans and their gods. Ingabalatus or whatever the fuck his name was. I have no idea. That guy's got a wacky name. The reason we were talking about that is how Sol and Luna got their names and how I don't just call it the moon, because I think calling Earth's moon the moon is really weird. Elagabalus. 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 Yeah, go for that one, Brightside. How the fuck do you think you say that, man? I have no clue. Omni, you got a letter this week that told you need Jesus? Elagabalus? Bro, get the fuck out of here. Why isn't there an accent on the second A then? Omni, I hear that you get like a special onesie and you get to learn some like magic if you ascribe to that business. I've heard that the onesie might be knife proof. I don't know if that's true though, or if anyone's tested it. Oh yeah, that's fair. A is Nobody's shanking anybody. I've heard that the undergarment is knife proof. So, you know. I think you might need the power of anime though as well on your side in order to make it knife proof. Tony's like, what the fuck did I just walk back into?
You were talking about weird underwear. I knew exactly what you were talking about when I came down. It's too easy.
Yeah. Isn't it like Marcus? I don't know. I don't know how Latin pronunciation works. And I don't remember where the accent is usually, but isn't it on like the second syllable? That's why we do that so much in English. So anyway, yeah, Sol and Luna. That's why we were talking about that. In the context of astronomy, those heavenly bodies were given their names by the Romans.
Organize your DL hierarchy to limit how much content is loaded at any given time. I also built a custom DL manager. Yeah, I haven't dug into data layers too much yet. That's one of the things I got to learn up on now.
Oh, I'm tracking artificial sky. Yeah, because like there's no K in Latin. C is a K sound. We have that French influence, right? No, this is not Hyperskate. This is we're looking at Unreal sample projects.
I'm gonna make it look like this, so don't worry.
Yeah, we're gonna get there. That's why we're looking at world partition. We got to figure out how we can do the foliage, because when we did the trailer and we added in the trees and the rocks and shit, it changed everything so much for the better.
And if you remember me talking about this nanite video last week, and how, you know, we need to kind of like re-examine our foliage setup, like I would really like Hyperskate to look like this in places, and we just don't have anything close to that right now. So we're just kind of going back to the drawing board to ensure that we can pull stuff like this off. And I've just kind of come to the conclusion, like, our mountains don't feel as tall as real mountains and stuff like that. So everything just needs to like scale up a little bit, but it's very hard to work on right now when it's not in world partition because of how gigantic and non-performant it is and all of that. So just a lot of things to try.
So did you see what Adder said about world partition?
I like world partition. It fucks with hard references and forces you to build systems with soft references, so you trade hard ref perf wins for better content streaming management. Yeah, and luckily in our case, there is not too many places where I think we're going to be hurt by that, because I've really tried to design the game with that in mind, because I knew how big we were going to be going. But I could see where that could be a huge pain in the ass if you have, you know, stuff unloading because you're moving around that you need to keep and all of that. Yeah, I'm also kind of just terrified by the whole like one file per actor thing. Like, I understand that it adds some niceties that weren't there before, but it just feels like, you know, you're gonna just have 10 million things in your outliner and there's just no way around it. And I don't know, something about it feels wrong and dirty to me. So
that's good to know about cinematic content. That's tough.
You can't hard reference an always loaded asset with a soft loaded asset, which includes cinematic. Cinematic content currently needs to be manually streamed and set up. Yeah.
I'm assuming that's why you built the custom data layer thing.
And since we're doing VR again, it changes so many things about how I think you would approach a lot of different parts of it. So it's all good stuff to know. I do very much just feel like it. I don't know. It's not explained anywhere.
Yeah, I've been there.
Of one file per actor in our P4 directory. Yeah, it just. I mean, just converting the Hyperskate level that we had, which is just a landscape and probably like under 100 static meshes, just bloated the project so much. And yeah, so this level's weird because it seems like it is world partition, of course, but I can't select any of the cells here like I normally would be able to. I can't load and unload. There's like one area here that I guess I could load. I don't even know if it's going to do anything different than what's here, though. So, yeah, I don't know. This is another bust for, help me understand how you're doing the landscape. And
you drag load regions and right-click load, says Adder.
Yeah, I know how to do it normally, and I can't click and drag on here. It doesn't select anything like I'm used to. I don't know what the deal is. Like, I can do the load region thing on this cell right here, but that's the only cell on the whole map. You see, as I mouse around, that's the only thing that will light up when I mouse over it. And then I can get the load selected region here. But if I right click out here, I get nothing, and I can't click and drag and select. It's very weird. You can't left click and drag in your region. If I right click and drag, it does this. It's not that important. It's interesting how, like in the city sample, you load into that level and you're just floating over the water and the city's not there. And then you hit play and it all generates and loads in around you. This, you load the level and pretty much all of this stuff is here already. And it doesn't do any streaming as far as I can tell.
Yeah, Adder, when he's left clicking, nothing's happening. He can't get like a marquee selection.
Yeah, which like normally I should be able to. I was just doing it on the city sample. I think this map is just set up weird. Yeah. But yeah, I was trying to come here to see if there was any, examples of them doing anything with HLODs or the landscape or anything like that. And it seems like it's another case of being kind of like a weird one-off. Definitely more for showing off PCG and mega scans and stuff than anything else.
I wonder if they wrote something into it so that you can't like really pull it apart, so you don't know all their secrets. Which would be weird.
They're called sample projects, like they're supposed to be for learning, so I would think not.
I know, right? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Maybe they did it though because they're like, we want you to know a little bit, but we don't want you to know exactly how.
Well, and I mean, to some extent, they're like, here's a project, figure it out. Like, they don't really give you more than that. But yeah, the HLODs, I spent, I don't know, it was probably like 4 or 5 months ago. I spent probably a month before Halloween just looking at world partition and HLODs and trying to figure out what we were going to do. And I did kind of eventually just get burnt out on it and stop working on it. But I think I figured out for the most part what I need to do with HLODs, and it kind of became like a whole thing with the trees that we were running into. And I was finding that I needed to set up multiple HLOD layers so that like one was for the landscape and the large objects on it, and then there was like another one for trees and like tiny meshes like that. And then I could get the build times down to like under an hour each, which was nice because yeah, I had some that were 14 hours or something like that when I think I tried to just like HLOD the entire level into like one thing, and that made it very unhappy. So I definitely will hit you up when I start running into problems and questions, because there's nothing about any of this anywhere, it seems like. Another one was expanding actor class support in PCG. We added support for all lighting, actors, decals, etc. that are not currently, and they were able to cut down on world bidding pretty heavily, added light fixtures to procedural content. Yeah, I really want to look into that. That's one of the other things too, is like PCG versus, letting the landscape handle all the foliage generation or using the foliage tool or something. It kind of seems like PCG might be a better option in some cases, but it devolves into this chaos in my brain of like, well, yeah, if we generate the trees with PCG, then like, are we gonna have problems getting them into the HLOD later and all of that? So yeah, I'll hit you up for sure.
Thank you, Adder.
PCG foliage. So are you able to bake it into the HLOD then? I guess you'd be able to, because you just put down the volume and hit generate, and then it's there. that's where the custom age load breaker came in. Okay, I
There you
follow. Yeah, I assumed it was going to be something like that. So, do you do PCG for grass too? That's the one that I kind of go back and forth on. Is like whether I should use the landscape material for the grass or if I should just PCG literally everything. Everything. Okay, yeah, I might try that. It just seems like on the back end, like in terms of just managing like load in and stuff like that, you just have so much more control that way. So I follow.
Yeah, and the culling distance on the grass was like, it wasn't doing what we wanted it to do. Like, it looked good when it was culled somewhat near, but
yeah,
it was like
right now it's like loading a
obvious,
circle around the character, and if I could put all of the computing into just rendering it in like the vision cone, for example, I should be able to take it out quite a bit farther. And I wanted to give our designer the ability to draw. Yeah, so that's kind of what I want to give to Vince, is basically just the ability to kind of like set down, okay, I want forest here, and then I want to put a building here, and you know, the PCG will just kind of adapt to it, and I want to cut out a spot here that there aren't trees. Like, you should be able to just kind of do it with like some volumes and some config.
Yep. Perfect. Yeah. That's what we were thinking. That's the way I've done the shit before, but Tony's never built those things, so he's trying to, you know, we're laying the tracks from the train.
Big time. Yep.
Yeah, Brightside, the stuff that we're talking about is like, it comes from AAA experience, and I'm a designer, so my experience is being on the receiving end of the tools that are delivered by Adder, right? So Tony not knowing that, I have to be like, I need it to work like this, and I don't know how to get there.
Yep.
So yeah, it's really good to have colleagues like you guys to bounce ideas off of, and make sure we're on the right track, and like we're even exploring the correct.
I really try to approach like a lot of the stuff that I build kind of like an app or a tool, because that's what I do in my day job otherwise, but just like something that like I can hand it to Vince and he has this functionality now that he can accomplish what he needs to, and it's straightforward and it's user friendly, and if it's not working the way that he needs it to, then I can adjust it for him. But that, especially in the team setup, that seems like that's kind of how it has to be. I don't really necessarily worry about like, oh, I'm going to build this thing in the game. It's like, no, I'm going to build this system that works in the game, and I'm going to make it as configurable as possible, and then I'm going to give it to Vince and let him put it in the game. So.
Oh, that's really good to know, Adder. Okay.
We're an 8-person content team, 1 designer, 4 artists, so maximizing bandwidth is huge. PCG and world partition are great, but they're very much in infancy. If it seems broken or weird, it's because it is. Don't be afraid to expand on UE systems. I find them fairly limiting in real world. Yeah, totally.
That's awesome. That's really good advice, because I think Tony was, banging up against that, going like, why doesn't this fucking work? And it's like, because it doesn't. And yeah.
Like, I don't know if you've seen like world partition static lighting. That's a thing that came out in 5.5, but it's so infant that the only way to build it is from the terminal. There's not even a button in the interface right now for it. And so, I'm used to stuff being like that. That is what it is.
I also want to say that, Adder, I appreciate the fact that you guys have 1 designer. Even though I'm a designer, I have been on teams with hundreds of designers, and not all designers are cut from the same cloth, if you know what I mean. I would say, like, somewhat controversially, I agree with Garrett's take from a long time ago on Gamma Sutra, I think it was. He did like an interview where he was saying like most designers are bad, and it's because they don't understand the job, and it's not their fault. It's that they're like in QA and they've spent a career doing QA, and then they get promoted to designer because it's like, well, you know all the tools, now go build game. And it's like, but I don't know how to build game. Like, I'm kind of guessing here, and yeah, anyway, I think that's a really good way to do it. You absolutely need more artists. Art it's heavy. It takes a lot. And a lot of just person hours to build good looking art. You need so many assets. So yeah, we've been exploring that. I will say that I don't see a reason to hire any designers or work with any other designers either. I often find that the more designers you add to a team, the more conflicting visions you get and like weird ideas, because designers often want to be like, well, I have this idea for this game that I always want to put into a game, and I'm just gonna kind of like ignore the main vision just to pursue and build my idea because I'm really into that. And I think that just causes problems. I've definitely experienced that on like literally every project I've worked on. One game and level designer, that's great. There's a lot of overlap in both of those. Systems is tricky, and I could see a systems designer being like a special role. Absolutely agree there. A handful of environment and character artists, dedicated optimization workflow tech artists. Yeah, and being the tech content tech artist and lighting artist. Yeah, that sounds like a really well-rounded team, man. Honestly, that's cool. And again, as soon as you guys are ready to like share what you're working on, I'd like please share your stuff in Discord. Let us know. We'd love to take a look. I also understand you probably can't talk about things now, which is totally fine. I get that. We're doing the weird, risky thing of trying to talk about as much as possible beforehand without spoiling what we're making and what the experience is. Yeah, open world stuff, gameplay abilities and whatnot. Yeah, absolutely. That's a cool job. I always have like a ton of respect for that role. I think it's really cool. And I always got along really well with people that, sit in between art and engineering, because design just does too. I think good design does. Yeah. I could probably talk way too long about bad designers.
Well, we're at 11 past, so probably wrap it up here. Appreciate everybody
thank you.
Coming and hanging out, though.
Yeah, thank you guys.
The advice is super valuable. Thank you so much.
Yeah, really good shit. We're poking at world partition stuff, this week and coming up. So,
yep.
I expect that Tony's probably going to start asking you some questions at her.
Yep.
Yeah, and thank you guys for chatting.
After stream today, so.
Yeah, we were a little slow in chat at the top of the stream, but that's okay. It's a Wednesday, the end of January and a new year, so I get it. But I really appreciate everybody who did come through and everybody that was chatting. You guys are great. Thanks for chatting with me about Sherbet and astronomy and all kinds of stuff that doesn't really relate to game development. But yeah, I'm glad you find it interesting too, Brightside.
Alrighty, well, we will be back tomorrow afternoon. Vince is going to play Ninja Gaiden, which runs on UE5 in some very interesting ways. If you missed us talking about that earlier, I'll definitely talk about it again tomorrow. So I also put a tweet about it into the Discord if you are interested and want to see before then. Yeah,
the Ninja Gaiden 2 Black. That's one of the games that I like 100%ed, so it's been really fun. I dove in on hardest difficulty, so expect some of that. I've died a lot. It's been a long time, so getting the muscle memory back is it's a process, but we're getting there. So yeah, and I'm going to talk about game design stuff too. I've got a lot to talk about because I played a ton of that game. So yeah, it's very fun. And we'll see you guys tomorrow. It'll be great to hop back in there and revisit the Hayabusa clan and the spirit of vengeance that is Ryu.
The Vigorian Empire.
Yep. Fiend hunters and all that. Alma and Rachel. It'll be a good time.
All right, guys. Have a good day. 2 p.m. Mountain Time tomorrow. We'll see you then.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.